Mirai, the hydrogen fuel cell vehicle from Toyota, has been widely panned by reviewers as disappointing, a failure, and a waste of money. However, none of these reviews have been long-term reviews. So today we're going to be talking to Sam, who has owned Toyota Mirai since 2022, on his experience with the vehicle. And we will find out, is the Toyota Mirai a failure or is it just misunderstood? Let's get right into it. So Sam, you run one of the biggest independent Mirai channel on the internet, right? So what, other than the one that Toyota runs, I heard that Toyota actually runs the one on Facebook.
Yes.
Some people told me that they
do.
will ban anyone who has negative thing to say on Toyota. So you're the biggest independent Mirai channel.
Yes.
What made you start that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I did not buy this car thinking I would make a channel about it, but going through the fueling process, mainly, this is not as easy as I thought it would be. I decided there's not much information about what it's like to really live with it, especially with fueling. So I was like, I need to inform people just so they know what they're getting into. Dear Toyota, I don't hate the car. I don't hate the Mirai. I don't hate Toyota. I just want a consumer that's making their second potentially largest purchase of their life to know what they're getting into, because it's a new technology. We don't know much about it outside of the marketing material. And I just record my everyday experiences. Most of it is not scripted whatsoever. It's just like, oh, it's down again. Like, thanks, True Zero, calling you out. Yeah.
That's great what you're doing, because we don't have a lot of people nowadays. There's a lot of car reviewers out there. Who knows if they're sponsored by whatever the company, whatever they give them. So you provide honest opinion for people. Yeah. So why did you buy the Mirai?
I get that question a lot, and I primarily bought the Mirai for financial reasons. Based on my analysis of the hydrogen prices over the past 5 years, I didn't expect of such a high increase in price, but I did not account for that. And obviously, it helps to have a beautiful car. I think it's a beautiful car. Some people think it looks like a whale. I think it looks great.
Right, it kind of has that Lexus kind of a DNA. I mean, it's a Lexus Toyota
for sure,
when you first see it. I also noticed there's this Mirai logo right here.
Yeah,
I didn't
all
know
the
there
little
was
details. You could definitely tell. I think 2022 was a big pivotal year for Toyota. This is my speculation. But you notice after 2022, they got rid of the turbine wheels. They changed the badging. You could tell they're kind of cutting costs a little bit. So I feel like 2022 was their last hurrah, if you will.
So what was the final price on this?
The final price was just shy of 53. However, the dealer had this marked up to 58 and change because there were a lot of dealer installed options on the cars. I knew these were not selling very well. And with that, I negotiated down to sticker 53 before all the fees and whatnot.
Did they offer you any incentives?
They offered me $17,000 off MSRP. State rebate, which I believe was $4,500. 0% interest, 0% down on good credit.
Did they offer you the fuel card?
They did offer me the fuel card, and that was a huge part of it. What you get is essentially a debit card. It's $15,000 for 6 years, whatever comes first.
So the final price was effectively $20-some thousand?
Essentially.
I heard Mirai owners, they get 21 days of free car rental.
Yeah, they did offer me that. In addition to that, you get free tow from Toyota if you ran out of fuel. Over the span of how long we were planning on having the car, it was worth the risk, I thought.
So what does it feel like driving on water, propelled by water?
The car drives very linearly. It's slow. It's a slow car. It gets you to where you need to go. You're not splitting lanes by any means, but nor would you want to, because it's going to cost you a lot of money because you're going to be draining through your hydrogen. But it drives really well. It's smooth. I will say it's a heavier car. It's rear-wheel drive. So I will say when you turn in, you brake, you load up the front, and turn in, it feels pretty good. It's a big car, but for a big car, it feels planted. And the suspension is kind of like the older style cars in the early 2000s, kind of the plushy grand touring cars. It leans a lot, but it's comfortable. So it's based off a shorter LS chassis. So it drives pretty well, I think.
So it's almost like a semi-luxury.
It's a poor man's Lexus, and especially very poor when you consider I had to get it with all the incentives.
So what range have you been getting with this car?
Range, I have been getting generally around 310 to 320. The most I've gotten was 340. but that's happened once.
At what point do you say, oh, I need to go fuel up?
Usually I try to fuel up when we have anywhere from like 20 to 30 miles left. That's like my comfortable range. I have gotten to as low as 0. I got to Diamond Bar Station with 1 or 0 miles left. That was a sphincter clencher for sure.
So unlike gas car or electric car, it doesn't have that reserve range, right?
That is a great question. I don't know, but a lot of people say there's a reserve. And if you are one of those people, put a comment in the video and tell us how you did it and how you experienced that.
So what are the things that will affect the range?
I think the biggest thing is the driving habits, light foot, like do not drive it as like your typical gas car. So you want to learn how to coast when appropriate. And what that I mean by that is typically you're on gas or you're on brake when you're driving, and sometimes you coast before a red light. For me, I'm looking like 3-4 cars ahead to see if they're slowing down so I can get off the gas, make sure I can coast for as long as I can and as safely as I can, and then start easing on the brake. But yeah, it's all driving habits really. Some people will say you fill up the tires with higher PSI and whatnot, but I try not to do that. I try to keep it factory because that's the safest and that's what Toyota recommends, so I'll do that.
What are the things that could go wrong when you go fuel the car?
There is a handful of things that can go wrong. One most common one that you hear all the time is the nozzles freezing. Personally, I've only experienced that 2 or 3 times. Not often, to be honest. A lot of it has to do with quote unquote not ideal techniques when removing the nozzle. I mention it in all of my vlog type videos. You want to push in with the handle and then pull back with the clip. A lot of people try to pull with both and it just does not help at all. Typically it's the POS system. So the computer system itself will be not working. Either it doesn't accept credit cards, there's like random errors. And that's the biggest problem I see outside of the price that I see with these hydrogen stations. The freezing is not a big deal, but the computer system itself is typically what causes long lines.
That's crazy to hear because I've seen hydrogen fueling station. It looks just like gas station. So you would think the system is very similar.
I will say the usability is pretty similar, honestly. If everything runs smooth, it's very smooth. 4 to 5 minutes, full tank, you're in and out, and it's good. The only problem is, yeah, there's not many of them.
So what are the maintenance that you have to do on this car?
Maintenance, as of now, nothing. The car comes with Toyota Care, I forgot to mention that. I don't know what the major services are yet, to be honest. And from what I could tell, nothing is too expensive, on the bills at least, so we'll see. Fingers crossed. Do your research.
Yeah, it's a pretty reliable vehicle. I mean, it is a Toyota.
It is so far.
If someone come up to you say, I would like a fuel efficient car, you know, I see a great deal on the Mirai.
Yep.
Would you recommend to buy it in 2024?
In 2024, unless you really like this beautiful car design, don't get it. I don't think it's worth it. Unless, I think there's 2 types of buyers. There's kind of people like me, which are more money focused. It sounds ridiculous now, but it was a financial decision. And then there's those people that are a little bit more like to be on the bleeding edge of technology, EVs, hydrogen fuel cells. I would not recommend this if you're looking at this from a financial point of view. It just doesn't make sense. And especially if you are needing to commute to work, it doesn't make sense long term. Maybe a certified pre-owned used one with the fuel card, maybe. The car market has died down. Prices are relatively back to normal. I think there are a lot of cars out there that you should get before this. And also, namely, a couple things that I think were overlooked by me. The rear seats are very tight. I think a Honda Civic has better rear seat room than this car, especially given how huge this is, and the back seats don't fold. So if you have kids, if you want to do any major grocery runs, Costco runs, it's somewhat limited. So
if you could go back in time to 2022, what would you buy?
I would buy this car because I get to meet this man right here, Victor. He's a great channel, subscribe to his channel. Okay, but in all seriousness, I think I would still possibly do this, maybe. It was this or a Toyota Corolla hatchback, which is not as exciting. I am a car enthusiast, so I like fun, interesting cars, and this scratches the itch despite all of its financial flaws.
Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this video will give you a better understanding of the Toyota Mirai fuel cell vehicle. If you're the owner of this vehicle, please let us know your experience in the comment. And please go check out Sam's channel. We'll have the link in the description. As always, this is Fatco Media. Stay fabulous, and we'll see you on the next one.